Have you ever wondered how aging affects intimacy, relationships, and even the very essence of who we are? As time passes, the body inevitably changes, bringing challenges and transformations that many shy away from discussing. Yet these truths are crucial, not only for our physical well-being but for maintaining deep emotional connections. In this video, we'll delve into the unspoken realities of aging and intimacy, exploring how the human body adapts to the absence of physical connection and how these changes ripple through emotions, relationships, and self-identity. Through the wisdom of an elderly woman who has lived, loved, and learned, you'll uncover profound insights into the evolving nature of love, the challenges couples face, and the steps they can take to deepen their bond despite life's inevitable changes. Stay with us until the end to learn practical tips for maintaining intimacy, keeping the spark alive, and navigating the complex interplay of emotions and connection as we grow older. This is a conversation that promises to challenge, inspire, and transform how you view love and relationships at every stage of life. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I encourage you to click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on today's topic. If you enjoy the content, please comment 1 below. If it doesn't resonate with you, leave a 0. Your feedback is crucial as it helps me create better videos that align with your interests. Now, let's get started. With a serene yet piercing gaze that seemed to see beyond the surface, the elderly woman began her story. Her voice was both gentle and commanding, a rare blend that held the group in rapt attention. There was a wisdom in her tone, a lifetime of experiences condensed into each carefully chosen word. The human body, she began slowly, letting the weight of her words sink in, is a sacred temple. It is magnificent in its design and resilient in its nature, but it is not immune to the passage of time. Like the seasons, it transforms, shifts, and adapts. Nothing remains untouched, not our skin, not our hearts, and certainly not our sexuality. She paused, her eyes sweeping over the group, ensuring each person felt the personal weight of her message. Leaning forward slightly, as if to invite them into a more intimate space, she continued, "Today, we will speak of a truth that is often shrouded in silence, a truth about older men and how their bodies respond to the absence of intimacy. It is a subject many shy away from, yet it holds a depth that is crucial to understand. Because when intimacy fades, it's not just a man's body that changes. It ripples through his emotions, his identity, and even his relationships." The room was still, the kind of silence that comes not from disinterest but from deep reflection. A young man, his face tinged with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension, hesitated before raising his hand. His voice wavered as he finally asked the question that had been lingering in his mind. "Is it true," he began tentatively, "that if an older man stops having sex, his penis undergoes physical changes?" The elderly woman's eyes softened with understanding. Her nod was slow, deliberate, as if to acknowledge the courage it took to voice such a question. "Yes," she said, her voice filled with compassion rather than judgment. "It is true. Our bodies, regardless of gender, are designed to thrive on movement and stimulation. The male anatomy, much like the muscles in your arms or legs, requires use to maintain its vitality. When a man ceases sexual activity for an extended period, especially in his later years, changes do occur. The penis can lose elasticity and firmness. Without regular blood flow, something that sexual activity or even arousal facilitates, the tissues can begin to stiffen. Over time, there may be a gradual loss of both length and girth. It's not immediate, nor is it irreversible in all cases, but it is a reality many are unaware of." A quiet murmur ran through the group, a collective acknowledgement of the weight of her words. Another young man, this one sitting on the edge of his seat, leaned forward with a furrowed brow. "Does that mean," he asked with genuine concern, "that without sex, a man loses part of his virility?" The elderly woman smiled faintly, a smile that carried both warmth and the wisdom of someone who had long pondered such questions. "Ah, virility," she said, her voice tinged with a mix of reverence and lament. "We often confine it to the physical, strength, performance, potency. But true virility, my dear, resides as much in the spirit as it does in the body. It is a measure of vitality, of passion for life, of the courage to love and be loved. While the body may change with disuse, becoming less responsive or less elastic, this does not diminish a man's worth or his capacity for connection. The penis, like any other part of the body, requires care, attention, and stimulation to remain healthy. But this is not the entirety of a man's identity, nor his value as a partner or a person. The group fell silent again, this time with a heavier sense of introspection. The air was thick with unspoken questions, unexpressed fears. Finally, a young woman, her voice trembling slightly, broke the silence. "How does this affect a couple's relationship?" she asked, her vulnerability apparent in every syllable. "How does a woman feel when her husband can no longer, be intimate the way he used to?" The elderly woman closed her eyes for a moment, as if drawing upon an inner well of strength. When she spoke, her words were imbued with a tenderness that felt like an embrace. "Intimacy," she began, "is the language of love. It is not confined to physical acts, yet for many, it is through the physical that love is most tangibly expressed. When a man's ability to engage in sexual activity changes, it often creates a ripple effect. For a woman, especially one who finds connection and affirmation through touch, this change can feel like a quiet loss. It is not just about the act itself, it is about what it represents: closeness, vulnerability, the unspoken bond of two bodies sharing a sacred space. When that is altered, a woman may feel disconnected, as though a bridge that once united her to her partner is beginning to crumble. This can lead to feelings of insecurity, frustration, or even grief, not because of a lack of desire, but because something deeply cherished feels as though it is slipping away. If you are still watching this video, and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. The group absorbed her words, the truth of them settling into the quiet spaces of their minds. A young woman, her lips pressed tightly together as she pondered, finally spoke up. Her voice was steadier now, carrying a tone of resolve. "So what can a couple do?" she asked. "When that moment comes, how can they stay connected?" The elderly woman's expression softened, her eyes glistening with both sorrow and hope. "Ah," she said gently, "this is where love must evolve. Physical intimacy may change, but the essence of connection does not have to. Couples must learn to rediscover each other in new ways. A lingering touch, a heartfelt conversation, a shared laugh, these become the new languages of love. Communication is essential, honest, open conversations about fears, desires, and the ways each partner can feel valued. Intimacy can be found in the simplest of acts, holding hands during a walk, sharing a quiet moment of reflection, or even sitting in silence, fully present with one another. Love is resilient, but it requires nurturing. When couples are willing to adapt, to let their love grow and shift with the seasons of life, it doesn't diminish, it deepens. Her words hung in the air, a profound invitation to reimagine the boundaries of connection. The group sat in reverent silence, each member lost in thought. And in that stillness, the elderly woman saw the spark of something precious, a willingness to confront the inevitable changes of life with grace, courage, and above all, love. The elderly woman's gaze swept across the room, her eyes soft with the tenderness of someone who had walked the long road of love and life. The young people sat before her, eager but unsure, their curiosity mingled with a hesitance to confront topics that felt both deeply personal and slightly uncomfortable. She waited for a moment, letting the silence draw them in, before speaking with a calm yet resolute voice. "Love changes," she began, her words slow and deliberate, just as the body does. "It is one of life's undeniable truths. What feels effortless and fiery in youth becomes more complex, more nuanced, as we age. When physical intimacy begins to fade, or when it becomes challenging due to the body's natural evolution, it can feel like a loss. But it's not the end of love or connection. In fact, it can be the beginning of something deeper." Her voice softened, taking on a reflective tone as she continued. When sex becomes less frequent or less vigorous, a couple must find new ways to connect. Sometimes, it's the simple things, a gentle touch on the shoulder, a caress as you pass by in the kitchen, or an unhurried, heartfelt conversation before bed, that take on a meaning far greater than physical passion. These small gestures remind us that love is not bound by the limitations of the body. But, she added, her voice firm with conviction, it's crucial that the older man doesn't resign himself to complete inactivity. The body, even in old age, craves stimulation. Without it, it begins to lose its vitality. There are ways to keep the body functioning, even if the kind of intimacy shared is different from what it was in the past. A young man sitting near the back, his posture stiff with a mixture of nervousness and curiosity, raised his hand hesitantly. His voice wavered slightly as he spoke. But what happens, he asked, if the woman starts to feel different? If she feels like her partner can't fulfill what he used to? The elderly woman turned her gaze toward him, her expression filled with understanding. She let out a soft sigh, the kind that carries the weight of years of thought. It's normal, she said gently. When a man's ability to engage in physical intimacy changes, it often affects his partner as well. A woman's body and emotions respond to these changes. She might feel that something is missing, as if a part of their bond has been taken away. Penetration, for example, may not feel the same if the man struggles to maintain strong erections. These changes can create a sense of disconnection, a quiet, unspoken void between two people who love each other. She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. But this is where love must rise to meet the challenge. This is where it evolves into something even more meaningful. It's important for both partners to communicate openly about what they're feeling, not just their frustrations, but also their fears, their hopes, and their desires. When couples are willing to face these challenges together, they can find solutions. For some, it might mean exploring new ways of intimacy. Sexual aids, sensual massages, or even alternative forms of stimulation can help maintain pleasure and connection. These aren't replacements, they're adaptations, ways to honor the love and desire that still exist. The group was silent, their initial discomfort now replaced by an introspective stillness. Another young woman, her face a mixture of apprehension and curiosity, raised her hand. What if, she asked hesitantly, the woman starts losing interest in her partner because of these changes? What if the desire just fades? The elderly woman leaned back in her chair, her fingers lightly clasped together in thought. Desire, she began, her voice contemplative, is a fragile thing. It is influenced by so many factors, the physical, the emotional, even the spiritual. If a woman feels her partner is no longer capable of meeting her needs, it's natural for her own desire to wane. She may feel less connected, less drawn to intimacy. But that doesn't mean the relationship is doomed. The body is responsive, and so is the heart. With effort, desire can often be rekindled. If you are still watching this video, and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Her voice grew more passionate as she spoke. But it requires both partners to be willing to adapt. They must rediscover each other, not just as lovers but as companions, as partners in a shared journey. Intimacy isn't just about sex. It's about touch, about presence, about the unspoken connection that comes from truly seeing and valuing one another. A lingering embrace, a shared laugh, even the quiet comfort of sitting together in silence. These can all reignite the spark that keeps love alive. She looked around the room, her eyes meeting those of each listener, as if to ensure her words reached their hearts. If couples understand that intimacy changes, that it can take on new forms, they'll realize that these changes don't have to diminish their love. In fact, they can deepen it. The key is communication. Talk to each other. Share your fears, your frustrations, but also your joys and your dreams. When love is nurtured in this way, it doesn't just survive, it thrives. The evening wore on, and the elderly woman's words filled the room with a quiet sense of clarity and hope. The young people listened intently, their expressions shifting from uncertainty to reverence. They had come seeking answers about the physical, but they were leaving with lessons about the heart. As the conversation wound down, the elderly woman sat forward, her voice now gentle but firm. Sex will change over time. That is a fact of life. The body will not respond as it once did. What was effortless in youth becomes more of a challenge as the years pass. But this does not mean that pleasure, connection, or love must fade. What matters most is how a couple chooses to face these changes together. Love is not confined to the body. It is found in the willingness to adapt, to explore, to cherish the bond that remains, and to create new ways of keeping the flame alive. Her voice softened as she delivered her final thoughts. Wisdom lies in understanding that love is deeper than the physical act. It is in the small gestures, the shared moments, the quiet sacrifices, and the open, honest conversations that we build lasting intimacy. When both partners commit to nurturing their connection, they'll find that the spark of love can burn brightly, even when the body begins to fade. Because love is not just a thing of youth, it is a thing of the heart. And the heart, my dear friends, is timeless. Her words settled over the room like a warm embrace, filling the space with a profound sense of peace and understanding. The young people sat in reflective silence, their minds turning over the wisdom they had received. They had been given more than answers. They had been given a glimpse into the resilience and beauty of love that endures through all of life's changes. As we conclude, let's reflect on the journey we've just taken. What have you learned about intimacy, love, and the resilience of relationships as we age? Was there a moment or a piece of wisdom shared that resonated deeply with you? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share in the comments one lesson you've learned from this video and how you plan to bring it into your life or relationships. Your story may inspire someone else to embrace change and deepen their connections. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.